The night was quiet on the edge of explored space. Captain Alex Mercer sat in the small cabin of his ship, staring at the viewports where distant stars shimmered like tiny silver flames. He had spent years navigating the uncharted sectors of human space, taking jobs that others refused, smuggling supplies, scouting new planets, mapping asteroid belts, anything that kept him busy and alive. Tonight, though, was different. Something in the silence felt unusual, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. A knock at the door startled him. His hand instinctively hovered over the control panel, though he carried no weapon. Only the hum of the ship filled the room. He cautiously approached and opened the door. Standing there was a figure he could hardly believe. She looked fragile at first glance, delicate even, yet there was a presence about her that made Alex step back slightly. Her eyes glimmered with a strange violet light, her hair floated as though it had a mind of its own, and her posture was both regal and weary. "I am Queen Alara," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, yet it carried authority. "I need your help." Alex blinked, unsure if he should laugh or call security. He had seen many things in his life, but an alien queen knocking on his door in the dead of night was something he never expected. "You're an alien," he said finally, trying to sound casual. "And you want me to help you?" Alara's eyes flickered with a mix of urgency and caution. "Yes, you are human, but you have something others do not. You can think differently, act unpredictably, and make choices without fear of protocol. I am exiled, hunted, and my people need me restored. I cannot do it alone." Alex hesitated. Humans were newcomers in the galaxy. They lacked the advanced technology, the fleets, and the political influence of alien civilizations. Helping a queen regain her throne sounded like a recipe for disaster. And yet something in her voice, the quiet desperation, made him pause. "I don't know your people, your enemies, or why I would risk anything for you," he said. Alara's gaze softened. "Because humans are remarkable, Captain. You see the world in ways that are impossible to predict. You act with courage, empathy, and creativity. You have survived where others fail because you do not rely solely on strength or machines. You rely on your mind and your heart. I believe you are the one who can help me." Alex shook his head, partly in disbelief, partly in awe. He had heard tales of humans' adaptability, their stubbornness, their ingenuity in impossible situations. He had even experienced it himself during scouting missions. But to hear an alien queen speak of humanity in such a way, well, that was something else entirely. Alara stepped closer. "I am offering you an invitation, Captain. A dangerous one, yes, but one that will test the limits of what humans can do. Help me, and you will witness the galaxy in ways few have ever imagined. Refuse and my enemies will continue their rise unchecked, and humanity's place in the stars will remain uncertain." Alex ran his hand through his hair, weighing his options. His instincts screamed caution, but curiosity, that ever-present human trait, tugged at him relentlessly. He had always taken missions others avoided, faced dangers that seemed impossible, and yet here he was, still alive, still seeking the thrill of discovery. Finally, he spoke, his voice steady but cautious. "All right, I'll listen. But if this is a trap," Alara smiled faintly. "It is not a trap, but danger is inevitable. I will not ask you to do what you cannot endure. Together, we will find a way. But first, you must understand my world, my people, and the forces that threaten us both." Alex gestured for her to enter, closing the door behind her. The cabin felt smaller with her presence, yet the tension was not uncomfortable. It was charged, electric, like the moment before a storm. Alara moved to the viewport, gazing at the distant stars as if reading a map only she could see. "My people are powerful, Alex," she said quietly, "and dangerous. My rival faction believes they can rule the galaxy by eliminating me. They do not see humans as anything more than weak newcomers. That is why I need you. You can do things they cannot imagine, outsmart forces that think in predictable patterns, and survive in ways that defy logic. Alex sank into a chair, his mind racing. The human part of him understood the risk. Helping an alien queen could make him a target, ruin his career, even cost him his life. But another part, the part that had survived every impossible mission and every narrow escape, felt a spark of excitement. This was different from anything he had faced before. This was an adventure that could change everything. Hours passed as Alara explained the situation in more detail. She spoke of her people's advanced technologies, their elegant cities, and the political machinations that had led to her exile. She did not dwell on war or bloodshed. Her words focused on strategy, alliances, and the delicate balance of power. Alex listened intently, absorbing every detail, asking questions when things seemed unclear. By the time the first light of a distant star peeked over the horizon, Alex had made his decision. He would help her. Not because he fully trusted the outcome, but because he trusted humans. Their ingenuity, their courage, and their adaptability were qualities that had always seen him through impossible situations. If there was a chance that he could make a difference, he would take it. Alara's eyes softened with relief. "Thank you, Alex. You will not regret this decision. The galaxy will see that humans are more than they imagine." Alex looked at her, still unsure what lay ahead. He did not yet know the challenges, the mysteries, or the allies they would encounter. But one thing was certain: his life had changed forever. He stood and walked to the cockpit, motioning for Alara to follow. "Then let's see where this invitation leads," he said. "And maybe, just maybe, we'll show the galaxy what humans are capable of." Alara's smile was faint but confident. "Yes, Captain. Together, we will do what no one else can." The ship hummed to life, engines glowing softly as it lifted off the ground. Stars streaked past the viewports, distant worlds waiting to be explored. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt a thrill unlike any he had known, an excitement born not of danger, but of possibility. The journey had begun, and humanity's chance to shine in a galaxy that underestimated them was about to take flight. The ship glided silently through the empty stretches of space, stars scattered like shards of glass across the black void. Captain Alex Mercer sat at the controls, his hands steady on the console, eyes scanning the navigation panel. He had flown many routes before, but this journey was different. He wasn't just mapping space or dodging asteroids. He was carrying the exiled queen of a powerful alien civilization through territories he barely understood. Queen Alara sat beside him, her posture calm yet alert. She observed the readouts, occasionally pointing out anomalies in the navigation logs. "This sector is largely unpatrolled," she said. "But the systems here are old, unstable. Many human ships have become lost or stranded because they underestimated the currents of this space." Alex nodded. "Then we won't underestimate them." His voice carried the confidence of experience, but beneath it was the careful caution that had kept him alive in more situations than he could count. "What's our first stop?" "The planet Sirith," Alara replied. "It is neutral territory, home to scholars who remember the history of my people. If we can gain their support, we might have a chance against my rivals. But the journey is not simple. The currents here, they twist reality in subtle ways. Navigation can be tricky if you rely only on instruments." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Twist reality," Alara smiled faintly. "The energy flows here interfere with electronics. They create minor distortions in sensors. You will need to rely on your instincts as well as your instruments. That is why I chose a human pilot. You think differently. You adapt." The compliment made Alex feel both proud and nervous. He had survived countless missions through asteroid fields, solar flares, and unpredictable gravitational anomalies. But navigating a region where the very laws of physics played tricks on your instruments, that would require more than skill. it would require ingenuity. Hours passed as they entered the first of the distortions. Sensors flickered, showing stars in the wrong positions, planets appearing where none existed. The ship shivered slightly, as though sensing the tension of space itself. Alex adjusted manually, using visual markers and careful calculations. He noticed subtle patterns in the way the stars shifted and matched them with Alara's guidance. "You're doing well," she said, her violet eyes studying him. "Humans often rely too much on instruments, but you see the underlying patterns. That is rare." Alex allowed himself a small smile. "Instinct and observation, that's all I have." By the time they cleared the first anomaly, Alara's expression had softened. "We are lucky to have survived that," she said quietly. "Some would have panicked. Others would have ignored the signs and flown blindly into danger." Alex chuckled. "I've learned to expect the unexpected, and somehow it usually works out." As they continued, the conversation shifted to her people and her exile. She spoke carefully, revealing only what was necessary, but even fragments of her story were astonishing. Her people had once governed a network of star systems, their technology and wisdom unmatched. Yet internal politics, ambition, and betrayal had driven her from her throne. Her rival faction sought to seize control of not just her people, but resources vital to the entire galaxy. Alex listened intently, realizing that helping her was more than a personal favor. Humanity, still young and fragile among the stars, could gain a foothold in interstellar affairs through courage and cleverness. Helping Alara could show that humans were more than just primitive newcomers. After several hours of navigation, they approached the edge of Sirith's atmosphere. The planet was breathtaking from orbit, swirling blue clouds, deep green continents, and oceans that shimmered like liquid crystal. Alex marveled at the view, momentarily forgetting the mission. "It is beautiful," he said softly. "I can see why this planet is considered neutral and wise. The scholars here must have seen countless civilizations rise and fall." Alara nodded. "And they will see ours too. If we present our case correctly, we might gain their trust. If we fail, we risk alerting my rivals to our presence." Alex prepared the ship for atmospheric entry. The process was delicate. Sirith's atmosphere was denser than most human-adapted ships were designed to handle. He relied on intuition, adjusting thrusters by feel, using the ship's limited instruments to fine-tune the descent. Alara provided subtle guidance, pointing out visual cues invisible to the instruments. They landed in a valley surrounded by towering, crystalline mountains that reflected the morning light. The air was thick with energy, a faint hum vibrating through the ground. Alex stepped out first, taking in the environment, while Alara followed gracefully, her presence calm yet commanding. They were greeted by a delegation of scholars, humanoid yet unmistakably alien, with translucent skin and eyes that glowed faintly. They examined Alara with cautious respect, but their gazes flickered to Alex as well. Humans were rare in these parts, and his reputation as a clever and daring pilot seemed to precede him. One of the scholars, a tall figure with deep amber eyes, stepped forward. "Queen Alara," he said, "we remember your people. We have observed the shifts in the galactic balance. But why bring a human with you?" Alara's eyes met Alex's briefly. "Because he represents what my people have forgotten. Ingenuity without arrogance, courage without expectation, morality without manipulation. He is human. He sees solutions where others see only problems." The scholar studied Alex closely, then nodded slowly. "Then perhaps there is hope." Over the next hours, Alex demonstrated the kinds of human problem-solving that impressed the scholars. When faced with a complex puzzle involving energy flows and environmental patterns on Sirith, Alara's alien knowledge alone was insufficient. Alex suggested an approach that relied on observation, trial and error, and lateral thinking. The scholars watched, intrigued, as the human pilot solved the puzzle in ways their sophisticated logic circuits had not predicted. "You are unusual," one scholar said finally. "Most humans we have seen are impulsive, reactive, or limited by instinct. You combine instinct with thought. That is rare." Alex shrugged modestly. "I just pay attention, and I try not to panic." Alara's smile was faint but warm. "And that is why I chose him." As the sun of Sirith dipped toward the horizon, casting long, shimmering shadows across the crystalline mountains, Alara and Alex were invited to a private council chamber. There, the scholars explained the political landscape in more detail. Alara's rivals had begun consolidating power, making alliances, and controlling trade routes vital to multiple star systems. If she did not act soon, the opportunity to reclaim her throne would vanish. Alex listened carefully. The human mind naturally analyzed problems, but he also considered ethical and practical consequences. "We need to move fast," he said, "but we don't have to rush blindly. If we show that helping you benefits others as well, we can gain allies, reduce resistance, and act strategically." Alara nodded, her expression serious. "Yes, that is the approach I had hoped for. Humans understand the power of reasoning combined with morality. Many of my people have forgotten that. They rely solely on authority and technology. Your insight is refreshing." The scholars agreed to aid them in small ways, providing intelligence on rival movements, access to minor resources, and guidance on diplomatic contacts. These steps might seem minor, but Alex understood their importance. In a galaxy where technology often overshadowed wisdom, the human ability to think flexibly and ethically gave them a real advantage. As night fell on Sirith, Alex and Alara walked outside the chamber. The sky was alive with unfamiliar constellations, streaked with colors that human eyes could barely perceive. The planet vibrated subtly under their feet, a living reminder that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of opportunities. "You have done well today," Alara said softly. "Your presence here has impressed them. They will help us when the time comes." Alex glanced at her, half smiling. "I'm just doing what humans do best: adapt, survive, and find a way. You're the one who needs to reclaim a throne." "I'm just the pilot." Alara shook her head. "No, Alex, you are more than that. You have reminded me that strength is not always in fleets or weapons. It is in cleverness, resilience, and the courage to act when others hesitate. That is why humans are remarkable." Alex looked out at the stars again. "Then I guess this journey is only just beginning. If we keep using our heads and staying careful, maybe we can really make a difference." Alara's eyes glimmered with quiet determination. "We will. Together, we will show the galaxy that even humans, though young and untested, can be pivotal in shaping the future." The night on Sirith stretched long, filled with the soft hum of alien energy and the quiet confidence of a human pilot and an exiled queen who had begun to trust him. The mission ahead would be difficult. The rival faction was powerful, cunning, and relentless. But with careful planning, resourcefulness, and a human spirit that refused to give in to fear, Alex and Alara were prepared to face the challenges ahead. By the time they retired to their quarters for the night, Alex could not help but feel a surge of excitement. He had crossed uncharted space before, faced dangers no one could predict, and solved problems that seemed impossible. But this mission, helping an exiled queen reclaim her throne, navigating alien politics, and proving the worth of humanity in a galaxy that underestimated them, was unlike anything he had ever faced. And yet, for the first time in a long time, he felt fully alive. The stars outside shimmered, silent witnesses to the beginning of a journey that would test courage, intelligence, and the very essence of what it meant to be human. And somewhere in that vast, infinite galaxy, the first hints of opportunity were taking shape. Together, Alex Mercer and Queen Alara would step forward, navigating a path that required more than technology or strength. It required ingenuity, empathy, and the boldness to act when others hesitated. The journey had only just begun, but the promise of human brilliance was already shining. The journey from Sirith to the stronghold of Queen Alara's rivals was long and uncertain. Alex Mercer adjusted the controls with careful precision, guiding their small ship through nebulae that shimmered like liquid light and asteroid belts that twisted unpredictably. Alara sat beside him, calm and composed, yet a faint tension lingered in her violet eyes. She had seen the power of her enemies before, but now, with a human pilot by her side, she felt a new possibility, one that combined alien wisdom with human creativity. "Are we close?" Alex asked, scanning the readings. The sensors flickered under the interference of a nearby pulsar, making navigation even trickier. Alara leaned forward, her gaze following patterns in the display. "We are near enough that my enemies may notice us, but the path ahead is more than distance. It is a test. You will see, humans often surprise even the most advanced civilizations." Alex let out a small laugh. "I've surprised myself plenty of times. Hopefully, this will be one of those times." As they approached the stronghold, a planet bathed in pale orange light, Alex noted the strange arrangement of satellites and energy grids surrounding it. They weren't defensive weapons in the traditional sense, but complex networks designed to monitor traffic and communication. A direct approach would certainly trigger alarms. "Looks like a trap," Alex said bluntly. Alara nodded. "In a way, but it is not a trap for those who think differently. Humans, your species, see opportunities where others see obstacles. That is why you were chosen." Alex studied the grids, tracing the paths of energy with his fingers across the display. He noticed slight irregularities, subtle patterns that suggested gaps in the monitoring system. "There," he said, pointing. "If we move through these channels at precise intervals, we can avoid detection. It's like threading a needle, but I think we can do it." Alara's eyes glimmered. "You are remarkable, Alex. Most of my people would have relied solely on brute strength or technology. You see solutions where they see only barriers." Their entry was tense, yet careful. Alex guided the ship through invisible channels in the energy field, gliding past satellites and sensors as if they did not exist. The hum of the ship was a soft contrast to the silent tension that hung in the air. For the first time, Alara allowed herself a small smile, seeing that her trust in a human pilot was well placed. Once inside the atmosphere, the landscape unfolded in ways that Alex found breathtaking. The stronghold was not a fortress of stone and metal, but a complex of terraces and towers that spiraled like shells across jagged cliffs. Energy conduits ran between structures, glowing faintly in a rhythm that seemed almost musical. The alien architecture was elegant, intricate, and intimidating, but also susceptible to creativity and strategy. Alara guided Alex to a secluded landing platform away from the main observation grids. "Here we can plan our approach," she said. "But be warned, my rivals are cunning. They expect intruders to act with force. We will act differently." Alex nodded. "Force is predictable. We'll use cleverness and a bit of patience." The two walked through a winding series of corridors, observing the patterns of guards and automated systems. Alex noticed something others might have missed: subtle timing inconsistencies, areas where shadows fell differently, and energy flows that indicated inactive sensors. "We can use this," he whispered. "These gaps give us freedom to move without confrontation." Alara studied his observations. "Yes, that is why humans are extraordinary. You notice what others dismiss, act where others hesitate. We will use this to our advantage." They reached a large chamber filled with holographic maps and data nodes. Alara's rivals had underestimated the importance of subtlety. Here, Alex proposed a plan that relied not on strength but on strategy. They would present themselves not as intruders but as allies offering mutual benefit. By showing intelligence, resourcefulness, and moral reasoning, they could win support from neutral factions who had previously stayed uninvolved. Alara was impressed. Your plan uses diplomacy and ingenuity, qualities my people have forgotten. You truly embody the potential of humans. The first challenge came sooner than expected. A neutral faction, one with influence over regional trade routes, sent a representative to test them. The alien envoy did not seek battle, they sought reasoning. "If you cannot demonstrate wisdom, we will not support you," the envoy said. "Your approach will reveal the value of your species." Alex studied the envoy carefully. The challenge was clear. This was not about technology or power, but about understanding, ethics, and creativity. He presented solutions to resource distribution problems, trade conflicts, and environmental concerns on nearby planets. His methods were unconventional but effective, blending logic with empathy. The envoy watched closely, eyes narrowing as each problem was addressed. Alara's presence complemented Alex's reasoning. She added insights into alien systems and history that human knowledge could not cover. Together, they formed a partnership that was both surprising and convincing. By the end of the session, the envoy nodded in approval. "You have proven yourselves worthy," they said. "We will aid your mission." The small victory boosted morale. Alara had gained allies, and Alex had shown that human problem-solving and ethical reasoning could influence even advanced alien factions. They now had the resources to proceed further into the stronghold without confrontation, relying on clever planning rather than force. Over the next days, Alex and Alara moved carefully through the alien complex, using observation, timing, and negotiation to secure support from other neutral groups. Alex's ingenuity shone repeatedly. When a sensor field threatened to reveal their position, he created a reflection pattern that made it appear the area was empty. When a minor communication network required bypassing, he repurposed old human coding techniques to reroute signals without detection. Every small success reinforced Alara's trust and demonstrated why humans, though physically weaker, had a unique and invaluable role in galactic affairs. Alara began to see the human perspective not as inferior, but as complementary. Where alien society relied on rigid systems, humans relied on adaptability. Where alien factions often prioritized power over ethics, humans could balance morality with action. And where technology sometimes limited imagination, humans used creativity to overcome limitations. The final test came in the form of a complex moral dilemma set by another neutral faction. They presented a situation where a vital resource was threatened, and any action would affect multiple planets differently. Aliens might have solved it with coercion or technical manipulation, but Alex used diplomacy, empathy, and forward-thinking strategy. He proposed a plan that minimized harm, balanced needs, and considered long-term consequences. Alara watched him work, realizing the depth of human ingenuity. "This is why I came to you," she said quietly. "Your species has a power that cannot be measured in technology or armies. It is in thought, in understanding, in the courage to act ethically when others would exploit weakness." The neutral faction approved, granting them access to critical intelligence and additional allies within the stronghold. Alara's rivals were powerful, but now they faced a coalition strengthened not by weapons, but by clever planning, trust, and shared goals. Humans had turned the odds in their favor simply by thinking differently. As night fell over the alien complex, Alex and Alara stood on a terrace overlooking the cliffs and glowing energy conduits. The stars shone brightly above, each one a reminder of the vast possibilities the galaxy held. "You've done remarkably well," Alara said. "These allies, this strategy, it is beyond what I imagined. My people have underestimated humans for too long. I see now that our success depends not just on force, but on intellect and heart." Alex smiled faintly. "We're only halfway through, I think. There's still a long way to go, but if we keep thinking, planning, and staying careful, we can succeed without fighting." Alara's eyes glimmered with gratitude and determination. Yes, and we will. Together, we have proven that even the youngest species, the humans, can change the course of history. The night was calm, yet electric with possibility. The rivals would soon notice their influence spreading, but Alex and Alara were prepared. They had demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and ethical action could accomplish what brute force could not. The galaxy might underestimate humans, but they had already begun to show their worth. As they retired to their quarters, Alex felt a quiet thrill. He had faced challenges before, but this was different. He had navigated strange systems, solved impossible problems, and convinced powerful beings of humanity's value. And all of it had been done without violence, relying instead on ingenuity, understanding, and moral courage. Alara sat nearby, reviewing strategies and making notes. "You remind me," she said softly, "that leadership is not just about power. It is about insight, patience, and the ability to act wisely. Humans may not have the fleets or the technology, but they have something that others often lack: perspective." Alex looked at her, thoughtful. "Then maybe humans are exactly what the galaxy needs in situations like this." Alara smiled faintly. "Yes. And together, we will continue to show it." As the artificial lights of the stronghold dimmed for the night, the stars outside sparkled with promise. The human pilot and the exiled queen had faced the first true tests of strategy and morality, proving that strength was not always measured in weapons, but in thought, collaboration, and courage. The path ahead would be challenging, but they were ready. And in the silent hum of the ship and the soft glow of the alien towers, humanity's potential began to shine brighter than ever, a quiet force capable of changing the course of the galaxy. The morning sun on the alien stronghold bathed the terraces in soft orange light. Captain Alex Mercer adjusted the ship's instruments one last time, making sure every system was ready for the plan ahead. Queen Alara stood beside him, calm and poised, her violet eyes glowing faintly with anticipation. The final stage of their mission had arrived. The rivals of her throne were powerful, cunning, and patient, but they had underestimated the resourcefulness and courage of a human. "We have the intelligence," Alex said, glancing at the map projections. "We have the allies. Now we just need to execute. No force, no trickery, just clever planning and teamwork." Alara nodded. "Yes, the galaxy watches, even if it does not realize it. My rivals believe power comes from intimidation and technology. We will show that insight, diplomacy, and strategy can accomplish what they cannot." Alex smiled faintly. "Then let's begin." They moved through the stronghold with purpose, avoiding areas patrolled by rival forces. The corridors were vast, filled with the quiet hum of alien energy systems. Sensors and communication nodes blinked steadily, but Alex had memorized the layout. He knew which routes allowed them to move unseen and which required subtle distractions. Every step was calculated, relying on observation, timing, and creativity. Alara watched him, a sense of pride growing. She had underestimated the human capacity to adapt and improvise, even in situations she had long thought only her people could manage. "You truly are remarkable," she said softly. Alex shrugged. "I just notice patterns and think ahead. Humans are good at that. We survive by adapting." The first challenge came when they encountered a complex network of energy gates designed to control movement across the stronghold. A simple error would trigger alarms, alerting the rival faction to their presence. Alex studied the patterns carefully. "We don't need brute force," he said. "We need timing and coordination. Watch this." Using a combination of mirrored reflections, subtle energy diversions, and carefully timed movements, he guided them through the gates without triggering a single alarm. Alara followed, amazed at the human ingenuity that allowed them to navigate systems she had believed infallible. "This is how humans operate," Alex said quietly. "Not by strength, but by thinking differently. Most would never notice the gaps. Alara nodded. And that difference is exactly what we need. Once inside the inner chambers of the stronghold, they began reaching out to their allies. The neutral factions, impressed by Alex's ethical reasoning and Alara's wisdom, provided critical information on the rival factions' plans. Routes were suggested that avoided detection, communication channels that allowed messages to be sent securely, and subtle diplomatic gestures that would persuade other factions to withhold support from the usurpers. Alex realized that the battle they were waging was not physical but mental and moral. Every move had to consider perception, consequence, and alignment of interest. Humans, he thought, had an advantage in this arena. While advanced civilizations often relied on rigid systems, humans could improvise, empathize, and anticipate reactions. Hours passed, and the final stage approached. The rival leaders were gathered in a central chamber to discuss the next phase of their plan. Alex and Alara, using disguises provided by the scholars of Sirith, quietly entered. They were not intruders, they were guests, presenting themselves as mediators offering solutions. Alara began, her voice calm but commanding. "I come not to destroy but to restore balance. My people are fractured. My rivals believe power comes from fear, but I propose a path that benefits all, including those who oppose me." Alex stepped forward, explaining in simple but compelling terms the benefits of cooperation, the risks of continued conflict, and the advantages of trusting in humans and their unique perspective. He spoke of observation, empathy, and creative problem-solving, showing the rival faction that solutions existed that did not require domination or confrontation. At first, the rivals were skeptical. They had been trained to value authority, strength, and technology above all else. But Alex's reasoning, combined with Alara's wisdom and the support of neutral factions, gradually turned their skepticism into consideration. The idea that a species as young as humanity could influence decisions without force was almost incomprehensible to them, yet undeniable in its results. The council deliberated, and slowly, the mood shifted. The proposal offered a path that preserved dignity, shared resources fairly, and ensured long-term stability. The rival leaders, impressed by the clarity and morality of the solution, agreed to support it. The usurpers' plans were quietly dismantled, not by weapons or war but by insight, negotiation, and human ingenuity. Alara turned to Alex, a faint smile of relief on her face. "You have done more than I could have imagined. Humans are truly extraordinary," Alex chuckled. "We just think differently, that's all. Sometimes different is enough." With the rivals neutralized through clever diplomacy and cooperation, Alara was formally restored to her position. The throne room was filled with dignitaries, allies, and observers, all witnessing the return of the exiled queen. Alara did not celebrate with pomp or display of power. Instead, she acknowledged those who had helped, highlighting the role of humanity in her restoration. "This human," she said, gesturing to Alex, "has reminded us that courage is not measured in strength, and power is not only in technology. Insight, ethics, and ingenuity can achieve what force cannot. Humanity has proven itself capable of shaping the future." Applause and quiet admiration filled the chamber. For Alex, it was a moment of quiet pride. Humans, often underestimated and dismissed by older civilizations, had been essential to restoring balance without conflict or harm. After the ceremony, Alara and Alex walked through the corridors of the palace. The city outside was alive with energy, but there was no fear. The people sensed change not from dominance but from cooperation, wisdom, and hope. "You have changed how they see us," Alara said. "Not just my people but the galaxy. Humans are no longer mere observers. You have shown what we can achieve when we combine thought, morality, and courage." Alex smiled. "Maybe that's what humans are meant to do." Not just survive, but inspire, solve problems, and show others that there's another way. Alara looked up at the sky, where alien constellations shimmered like jewels. The galaxy will remember this day, and it will remember the human who helped change it. For Alex, the words were humbling, but he also felt a quiet joy. He had set out on a journey expecting danger and uncertainty, yet he had found opportunity, friendship, and the chance to prove humanity's value. Humans were young, yes, but they had a unique power, the ability to think, to act morally, and to adapt. And in doing so, they could shape the galaxy in ways no one had imagined. As night fell, Alex returned to the ship with Alara. The mission was complete, but the adventure was far from over. There were more worlds to explore, more challenges to face, and more chances to show that humans could rise to any occasion. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas of possibility. Alex felt the familiar thrill of the unknown, but this time it was tempered with satisfaction and hope. Humanity had made its mark, not with weapons or conquest, but with ingenuity, courage, and moral clarity. Alara watched him from the viewport, her expression serene. "The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long," she said softly. "Thanks to you, Captain, that has changed. They will think twice before dismissing your kind again." Alex glanced at her, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "I guess we just need to keep proving it, one mission at a time." Together, they set the ship on a new course, heading into uncharted space. The future was wide open, full of possibilities and brimming with challenges, but Alex felt confident. Humans were not the strongest species, nor the most technologically advanced. Yet they had something rare and vital: the courage to act wisely, the ingenuity to solve the impossible, and the heart to see solutions where others saw only problems. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, stars shimmered brighter, perhaps acknowledging the new force that had quietly changed the course of events, not with violence or force, but with human brilliance. The journey ahead would be long, filled with mysteries, discoveries, and tests of ingenuity, but Alex was ready. Humanity had proven its worth, and for the first time he felt that anything in the galaxy was possible.